Hey guys, what's going on? This is Luke, and we're back for our Wednesday session of our live conversations we've been hosting. And I'm really excited about this one because we're gearing up for Demo Day. Tomorrow is Ocean Virtual Demo Day 2020. This is the sixth time that we've done this event. And typically we do this event and we gather live in Cincinnati. We also have a live stream. But this year, for obvious reasons, we're not gathering live in Cincinnati, right? And so instead, everything's virtual. And we're just trying to get the word out about this. We're trying to encourage people to participate, whether you're an investor, whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, whether you're part of just the general ocean community. We want your eyes on this tomorrow. And so we're trying to introduce this concept of a demo day to you by having some fun conversations about it. So the other day we had our chairman of Ocean, Scott Weiss, and the managing director of the 2020 Accelerator class, Randy Wilhelm, on, and we had an incredible conversation kind of about what Demo Day is and the class that we're going to hear from on Thursday, and just kind of letting you have some insight into what Demo Day is all about and why it's so important. And then we thought another fun way to do it would be to bring on some alumni. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to hang out with a couple of just incredible folks that are kind of part of the Ocean lore and story. And I'm excited to have with me Renji Bajoy from Immersed and Kirsten Moorfield from Cloverleaf. Guys, how are you doing?
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
A couple of distinguished Ocean alumni here. And ironically, both of you guys from the same cohort or class 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So class 3 was 2017, yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So it's been a few years, and I'm sure folks are like, oh yeah, I remember. I've watched her pitch, or I've seen him. Yeah, that's right. I kind of remember these stories. You guys have been around Ocean a little bit in the years since then, a lot, frankly, in the years since then. That's one of the things that I value and love about Ocean and the community we create is how folks want to stick around and they want to stay connected and they want to stay engaged and find ways to contribute and kind of give back and add back to the community. So you guys have done an incredible job of that, whether it's speaking at events or showing back up and sharing with the cohort or just kind of pouring back into folks that are in this community. So thank you for that. First of all, thank you for jumping on this. And man, our goal here is just to kind of catch up with you a little bit and then get some insights into what Demo Day is all about from your perspective. You can recollect those memories. So let's just start by jumping in and having you guys. One of the things I love to ask all the leaders that we're having on these calls is like, what's the problem you're solving in the world? And that's kind of putting the ball on the tee for you guys, as you know, to talk about your business. So why don't we start with Kirsten? Just tell us about the problem you guys are solving in the world with Cloverleaf and what's going on over there.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at how work is done today, all of our work in this knowledge-based economy is done on teams and with really highly educated people learning how to work together. And when you look at where teams are failing, where projects are going over budget or just not getting completed or going off timeline, it always comes back to relationships and communication. And there's so much research done on this and how people just don't understand how different thinking styles work and all of that. So what we do is we automate coaching to people based on how their brain is uniquely wired and also based on how the people they work with and their teams, how their brains are wired. So we push coaching through email, Slack, calendar, and these digital nudges that come into their flow of work. And as they're interacting with it, that's creating a really unique set of data that's pushing up to enterprise leaders and helping them make decisions on how to engage and plug their people in to be their most effective.
Wow, that's so, that reminds me of kind of the adage that you hear when folks say, man, leadership would be a lot of fun if it weren't for all the people.
Yeah, right.
And so like running a business would be a lot of fun if it weren't for all these crazy people that I have to have and I get to have as a part of my business, right? Yeah. So you guys are really kind of solving for this really human issue of, hey, newsflash, everybody's different. And we all operate and are wired differently, and people work on projects different and communicate in different ways and are affirmed and motivated in different ways. And the beautiful thing about kind of the world we live in now is there's been a lot of research and a lot of science that can start to illuminate us on folks, whether that's tests like that folks are familiar with, whether that's DISC or kind of the 4 types Myers-Briggs kind of test, or the Enneagram or strengths finders. Like there's all these things. And you guys have basically at Cloverleaf, you've created this virtual space where your team can live and you can kind of see on a dashboard who people are and how they work and how they lead and how they communicate. And then I love this new kind of this nudge thing that you referred to. Like I'm looking in our Slack right now, And it nudged us earlier today about one of our great team members, Rodney, and was like, hey, this is who Rodney is. And don't forget, and this is kind of how he works. Affirm Rodney by giving a story along kind of these lines, because he'll really respond to that. It's an amazing tool you guys have created, Kirsten. It's so fun. So how has that changed? Like, what has it been like since you left Ocean? Like, what's the evolution been like?
Yeah, so when we were in Ocean, it was just myself and my co-founder, so just two people on our team. And since then, we've grown in a lot of ways. We've grown our customer base. We've grown to 10 full-time employees, 4 part-time. We've grown our product. So we just were operating on an MVP. It was super lean. I think we spent about $15,000 developing our MVP. And so we have completely rebuilt that into an actual good-looking and scalable product that doesn't crash and give you broken Ukrainian error messages. So yeah, we've been growing in just a ton of ways.
Yeah, it's amazing. Renji, as a classmate of Kirsten's, you got to be kind of going. I know we were catching up before the call, and they're talking about like how many folks are on their team and hearing where the product is now. Like, are you just like cheering like on the inside?
Yeah, right, it's really cool to kind of see like Kirsten and Dan just be able to honestly just like be sort of the forerunners of sort of the Cincinnati scene. It's really cool to see them be super successful, and I hear their name all the time. I see it on LinkedIn all the time. It's really cool to see it.
Yeah, it is. So hey man, let's let you keep going now. Tell us about Immerse. What's going on with you guys? What is the problem that Immerse solves in the world?
Yeah, so for us, I mean, I think especially even after COVID, this whole pandemic, everyone's sort of working from home. For teams like software engineers or designers or just really highly collaborative teams who in the office generally use whiteboards to collaborate or share their multiple screens at their desks, now that they're remote, they lose all of that. And so what Immerse is doing is we're enabling teams to enter a virtual reality office where they can get all of their screens around them. They could whiteboard together in VR. And so now we have users all around the world who work in VR 40 hours a week, every week. And so it's been really cool to sort of see the spike in traffic after everyone's been working from home. And so we have a ton of really exciting announcements coming out this summer. Yeah, we're just really excited, man. So
so you guys are you for years have been focused like on solving this big thing. Like you're a futurist, man. You saw the future and said, okay, this is where people are going. But working from home or working remote is not always like a great experience. Like it can be frustrating. I don't know what I need, or I don't feel like I'm with my team. I'm not present. So you were already hard at work kind of creating a response to this need. And now what you're saying, geez, especially now in the aftermath or the midst of the COVID moment that we're all experiencing together, you're already seeing like people craving this to a higher degree.
Yeah. And so we sort of seen, I guess 3 years ago, obviously we didn't see this pandemic happening, but we knew that there were going to be multiple events that are going to cause people to work from home more frequently. And it had already been happening for the past several years, just in smaller waves. Now there's a mass exodus out of the office into the home. And so we've been working on the technology, just sort of heads down R&D for the past 3 years. We've had sort of a small group of users who love the product and growing it from there. And now just sort of this influx of traffic, obviously sort of perfect timing for us. So that being said, obviously we're grateful to God, the fact that like we were kind of working on something that we saw that other people didn't understand why we were working on it. But this sort of proves this out.
Yeah, it's so fun. So I'm just trying to orient folks to kind of who you guys are, what you've been up to. Kirsten, you and your team, you're still here in Cincinnati, correct?
Yep.
And you guys have like close to a dozen people on your team, right?
Yep, 10 full-time right now.
That's so fun. And then Renji, you guys, you came through OCEAN Accelerator back in 2017. You were here for quite a while, and about, is it 2 years now? About a year and a half, 2 years ago, you guys made the move down to Austin, right?
Yeah, well, so we were in the accelerator program at OCEAN, and then got into Techstars Chicago that summer. And then after Techstars Chicago, we decided as a team, let's live our product, right? Let's sort of be distributed. So we have people in Chicago, San Diego, New York, Florida, and Austin. And so there's about 8 of us right now full time, but we essentially use our own product to collaborate. And so it helps us make a better product because we are dog fooding our own product, right? So
that's awesome. Well, before long, we may all be using your product the way things are going, right? And that's kind of the big idea.
Yeah, especially as like, Apple and Facebook come out with their AR glasses that everyone will use as sort of their new general computing device. Immerse hopes to be sort of the Zoom of that world where we tile the different, glasses together or whatever, and you'd work in the virtual world together.
Yeah. So it's funny, Renji, just total side note. I just watched the season finale of the show Westworld last night, right? And it's all like you put the glasses on and the whole thing. And like, I think when people think that, they think like, oh, that's like the Jetsons, right? Which like, I think the Jetsons, didn't like the Jetsons take place like last year, like back when the cartoon was on? Like, so the future is here. Like you're seeing that as a reality much sooner, I think, than probably a lot of people would imagine it, right?
Yeah, a lot of people have said that like even just this pandemic has pushed our world 5 years into the future in regards to remote work. And so obviously we're thankful for that. But long term, we just want people to we want people to be able to avoid their commutes, avoid traveling on airplanes all the time just for work. And, you know, for example, like a father who's usually gone for work can now just work from home because he might have his glasses. And then, you know, as soon as his glasses are off, daddy's back home, right? He could spend time with the family, right? So
I love that. That's a beautiful picture of kind of the redemptive use of that technology. Kirsten, you know, as someone who's kind of a specialist with like teams and, you know, personalities and people, like, you know, can you kind of see that future Renji's describing and see how helpful, like, man, that's like to be able to put people in settings like that with coworkers would just be really fun, right?
Oh, it'd be awesome. I wish we had it today. Cause I mean, also, you know, it's great. I am your example, you know, like mom closes the computer and then she's home, but I am kind of going stir crazy with that, like without that normal feeling of interaction with my team. Like Zoom is obviously great and helpful, but I think all of us are getting a little bit over just the video calls and would like to be able to like actually whiteboard is one of the things I miss the most is like, I just want to draw this on the whiteboard and I want you to see it. So yeah, I think that would be hugely valuable.
Totally. So fun. Hey, if you guys are watching this right now and maybe, you know, questions are coming to your mind, or you just want to, you know, shout out one of these guys that are just leading these incredible businesses, drop a comment and we'll throw that up here. And man, if you have questions or something, I'd love to engage them with your questions. I want to kind of start to kind of pivot a little bit away from like what you guys have been up to. It's so fun to hear like your stories and get the updates and let people get to know you a little bit. The reason I wanted to do that is because like, I think anyone who's considering watching Demo Day or they're excited for our 6th Demo Day tomorrow, they're wondering like, well, like what kind of companies come through an accelerator? What kind of companies does OCEAN attract? You know, why should I care? And it's like, well, if you just heard Renji and Kirsten talk, you're going, this is so cool. Like these are amazing, like enterprise level technologies. This is why I should care. So these are big ideas. They're solving real problems. I want to take you guys back in time, back to 2017, when you're just these young pups, right? Not sure what this whole startup world's. That's probably not totally true. You guys already had some experience under your belts and incredible leaders. But like when you come back to like when you were at OCEAN and gearing up for Demo Day, what was that like? Like, was there nerves? What kind of emotions were running through you as you were getting ready to walk out in front of a few hundred people and pitch that day?
Yeah, what was it like?
I can go. I think the one of the cool things about OCEAN was the fact that it gave us a lot of opportunities to pitch before we ever walked on stage, right? So not even just in a formal setting of us doing like pitch practice, but also they had events where people would come in and you just sort of have to deliver your elevator pitch. So when you get on stage, it's natural, right? And so you can focus on delivering the message as opposed to necessarily your the actual delivery itself or your stage presence or those types of things, right? So yeah, does that sort of answer that question?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of gets a little bit of one of the questions I was thinking was like, what when you were like learning the art of pitching, right? Like, what did it actually teach you? Like, did it teach you more about your business? Did it teach you how to communicate with people? Like, what did it enliven in you?
So on top of the points that you just mentioned, it taught you a lot about how to pitch your business, how to communicate effectively, like how do people even respond to what I just said. On top of that, though, it helped me sort of think about are the things that I'm pitching even like resonating with people? Do they care? Like whether or not they understand it, is this a problem that people can resonate with, right? And if not, then maybe I need to reevaluate my business or at least how I'm pitching it, right? And then also things around even just sort of encouraging your team to learn how to pitch, because as they go about their lives and people ask them what they do, they don't just say, hey, I'm a software engineer at X and Y company. They instead say, hey, like we're building the future of work or whatever it is, right? So I think as you are sort of the forerunner of your company and pitching it, you're essentially like practicing to be an evangelist, not only to investors, but also to your team and reinvigorating them or encouraging them to continue trucking through the work that they're working on and help them realize that there's purpose in what we're working on.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Like we talk a lot around here that, hey, every conversation potentially is an opportunity to pitch. And are you going to be prepared to engage that? So maybe you're at the gas pump, or, hang on, it's 2020. Maybe you're at the charging station, charging your Tesla, Renji, and like there's someone else that rolls in to charge their Tesla, and boom, there's a great 10, 15-minute opportunity to have a conversation and pitch. To your point, if the folks who are on your teams absorb and understand that, and the more you as a founder do, the more they're going to. So that's a great point. Kirsten, think back to your, like, were you ready to like hit the stage and charge out there like, I got this? Or were you kind of freaking out on the inside? What was it like?
No, I was ready. I was ready because I spent way more time than I ever wanted to getting that pitch ready. And I think, like Renji said, we had a lot of time to practice, and in all of the practices, we got feedback. And so we filtered through an absurd amount of feedback from different perspectives. And I personally find that to be a very painful process, but a very important one, because communication is never about what you mean to say. It's always about what is heard, what the other person interprets what you're saying. And so I found it very valuable to practice, refine. And while I spent far more time on it I wanted to, it was worth it, because it got us intros into other important things that were yet again another pitch opportunities. And founders are just always pitching, like whether it's at the Tesla charging station or it's at an actual investor pitch or customer pitch or whatever it is, pitching new employees to come to the team. We're always pitching. So I was ready because I practiced a ton, and I'm glad I did, even though I didn't enjoy it. I'm glad I did. I didn't enjoy the practicing a ton.
Yeah, I get it. No, you're right. That can be painful, especially the feedback portion, right? Man, you said some stuff just now that I think is really insightful. I don't want to lose. Essentially, you said perception is reality when it comes to communication. That's a big deal, not just on the pitch piece, but like just any type of communication. Like what you say isn't as important as what people thought you said.
Right. Right. So that goes into branding and marketing and all of it. Yeah.
No, man, that's spot on. That's really good. So I'll just kind of throw it out to each of you guys. You give your pitch, a demo day, or Renji, I know you pitched at Techstars just a few months after you culminated at OCEAN, Techstars Chicago, right? So, man, what happened in your world after your pitch on stage at demo day? What, either one of those, or Kirsten, for demo days that you've been a part of, like, were you just flooded with opportunity? Was it a trickle? Were there fans that were reaching out and investors? And one of the things, we talk about is like, how do you weed through all the interactions to determine like, who am I going to engage with and how am I going to engage? So just what was the flow like of communication for you after a pitch like this?
Yeah, Kirsten, you can go first.
Sure. So it was not overwhelming. It wasn't an inundation of a ton of messages. It's actually, again, it comes back to the founder and how do we follow up and how do we create a ripple effect. So we got a couple of really high caliber introductions from that day, and then pressure was on us. We have to follow up. We have to create the opportunity to get back in front of them. And then also, then we have to ask them, who else do you know? And then get that second circle of the ripple and create more and more ripple effect and more introductions. And it was incredibly valuable because that's what led to us having the right connections to be able to close our first round of funding. And it also got us introductions and invitations to other events and other pitch events, like not even really competitions, but just, hey, come and pitch to this group of 1,000 people, come speak at this conference, that kind of a thing. So it got us introductions that really helped us grow our business, not just through fundraising, but also through getting in front of larger audiences.
Yeah. And I think that one thing that was really cool about Demo Day is it's a very sort of like unique spectacle or sort of event where it rallies around a lot of people who are excited to hear what businesses people are building.
Right.
And what it does is it helps you find more evangelists.
Yep.
And evangelists, right? People who will network and like share with other people about, hey, check out this company, Cloverleaf, see if you would like to potentially invest or know someone who could be a partner or a customer. And so I think one thing that was really cool about OCEAN Demo Day and Techstars as well is that they do a great job of being able to get people excited. Whereas if you were just building a startup on your own without any sort of Demo Day Accelerator program type program, you're really just kind of grinding on your own to like go to different networking events and kind of one-to-one as opposed to 1 to 1,000
right.
communicate. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Totally true.
Yeah, no, that's spot on. I think what you guys are kind of speaking to the reality of like, why do we do a demo day, and why do we encourage the community to be a part of it? Why do we encourage, shouldn't this just be like a small room with a few investors and like, it's kind of a direct audience kind of a thing? It's like, no, it's bigger than that, right? Because you don't know what the next introduction, where it comes from. You don't know when someone's pitching, you might be sitting there as just someone thought, oh, I'm just going to attend this because it sounds fun. And you might hear a pitch and go, oh my gosh, I know someone that this person needs to meet. Like I had no idea this is what their pitch was going to be about. And I have an introduction I want to make. And like, that's the power of, I hope like community and like what we're trying to create at OCEAN. And I know other accelerator communities are as well. Like we're trying to rally folks around founders, these folks like you guys who have stepped out and done these brave things and are kind of introducing it to the world. And this is a way to kind of celebrate that and to honor that and to say, hey, how can I throw in my weight? How can I support and help? And I know you guys know, I should say, much better than I do, that pitching is really just like, that's like level 0 of like 1,000 to like, if you go from pitching to closing a round, right? And you guys have both closed successful fundraising rounds and all this, but like, this is kind of where it starts, right? But there's a lot of steps in between or after.
Yeah, I mean, I think even just like for us, for example, and obviously Kirsten probably had a different experience, but for us after demo day, it's not like investors, wrote checks and folded into a paper airplane and threw it at the stage. That's not how it worked. It was just it was communicating that. Yeah, no, right. I wish it was that easy. It was just communicating that initial message enough to kind of give them a taste to want to have a second conversation, right? And so, like Kirsten said earlier, there's a ton of follow up. But even just things on like executing on your business, right? Like how can you like even just things like fundraising, those are difficult things to execute on. And it's almost near impossible if you don't have an awesome team who could help execute on the business while you're focusing on fundraising. Because if you're doing like 50% fundraising and 50% building the business, naturally it's going to turn to 5% fundraising and 95% building your business. And so at the end of the day, what actually makes fundraising more successful and just easier is if you do have a season of focusing on your business, executing, then get back to fundraising, land that round, and then sort of get back to the business sort of thing, right?
That's great.
What about you, Kirsten? What was that after program?
In terms of fundraising, like the 0 to 1,000 of fundraising, it was really challenging because it was just Darren and I who were doing 100% fundraising and 100% business development, like sales, and 100% product and customer success. Like, it's 2 people doing everything. So it was really hard because you are so stretched thin already. But yeah, it was a lot of follow-up. It was a couple of months of introductions and more introductions and always pounding the ground. And then it turned into a really sizable seed round. We closed $1 million round, I think about 9 months later, which then allowed us to grow our team so that we actually have a team and can divide and conquer. And we became ridiculously more productive and successful and rebuilt the product, like I said, and have just been growing like we wouldn't have been able to achieve this level of growth at this point without that capital coming in, which also wouldn't have been able to happen without demo day, without introductions, without OCEAN support, and I mean, Luke, you mentioned like, it's not just about the investors being in the audience. It's also mentors. It's also people who know people who can just make an introduction to get into a sales conversation. Like it's a whole community. It takes a whole tribe to really help support these fledgling young startups go from 2 people to 10 people, and not only just 2 people to 10 people, but providing real value, not just to investors, but to the world, to our customers, like allowing people to feel connected from their homes. That's hugely valuable. Be productive without like all that time commuting, the pollution and the like car crashes, and just cutting out commuting and allowing people to still feel connected. I mean, what a value to the world.
Man, that's so well said from both of you guys. Thank you for sharing what you just did. I was going to ask like last question as we wrapped up. I was going to say, hey, if some of these, I know that our founders who are going to be pitching tomorrow, they're watching this live or they have it on their schedule to watch here when they're done with meetings. Like I was going to say, what would you say to them? What piece of advice? But honestly, I think you've already said it. I think like if anyone who is like preparing for a pitch, watching this is going to feel both the importance of it, the weight of it, the opportunity of it, and I think just some best practices and tips from you guys. So I think you've offered a real gift to OCEAN Class 6 that are going to be preparing. And really, frankly, for anyone that's thinking about pitching someday, whether it's at a demo day or launching a business, or someone who's maybe just thinking about being a part of a community like this and wondering, why should I care? And why does it matter? Why does my contribution count? You guys have really said that. So I want to give you instead the opportunity. And hey, look, if there is like a one really like golden gem piece of advice, please share it. But I want to give you the opportunity instead in our last like 2 minutes, because I want to respect your guys' time. Like a good pitch, it ends with an ask, right? So I'm going to let you guys have the floor and say, hey, here's the ask from Immersed and from Cloverleaf. I'm just going to let you close it out.
Yeah, sure. For me, I would say, if you're struggling to work from home and struggling to whiteboard with your team, including you, Kirsten, I would highly, highly, highly recommend just go out, get yourself an Oculus Quest, and download Immersed. Like, I've had so many people, literally, you know what? I've never had a single demo where the person put the headset on and was like, wow, I did not realize we were this far into the future. And I'm not even talking about just like gamers or technologists. I'm talking VCs and just people who just, never use technology as well. My mom, she was like, where am I? How is this possible? And so being able to have that experience with your remote team, it's next level. So go out and get yourself a headset.
How much does a headset cost?
A $200 headset or a $400 headset. So either one of those through Oculus.
There you go.
And those are Oculus headsets. Those aren't your headsets. That's made by Oculus, right?
Made by Oculus, acquired by Facebook.
You're powering it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, yep.
That's awesome. Well, I do actually have a golden nugget. In true lean startup fashion, if you're pitching, give yourself a little bit of grace. It's not going to be perfect, and you're always improving it. And you better always be improving it, because you're going to learn things at every step. And so, that's just my advice there. And then in terms of my ask, I mean, you can come on Cloverleaf, create a free profile, get to know yourself better, and you can create a free team. And for, people working in companies, highly recommend you do it. We've also had really awesome, unexpected success with married couples and dating couples and roommates getting on because you're stuck at home together right now. So you can hop on, you can take some free assessments, and you can start a team, and you can get to know who you are, how you work, and why you run into some of the issues that you're running into with that husband you're stuck at home with right now.
It's so good. There's a whole new market you guys didn't even realize existed.
Well, and we're not even making money off of that. That one, you can just have that one for free. You're not our target audience, but it'd be fun for all the individuals out there.
That's great. Hey, Renji, Kirsten, thank you guys so much for taking 30 minutes of your day. And I know you guys are leading companies and you're busy, and this is a crazy season, just to kind of build into OCEAN and the community and the founders that are going to be part of tomorrow. I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Hey, I'm going to say goodbye to these guys and then say goodbye to everyone else. Hey, thank you guys. Hey, tomorrow's the big day, OCEAN Demo Day. If you're not registered, do it for free. It's oceandemoday.com. It starts at 12 noon Eastern. We have a 60-minute program that is the live pitches. And then we have about a 30-minute program just like this, where we're going to kind of bring founders on, Q&A format. We have a panel of experts from the kind of venture capital scene around the country that are going to be contributing. It's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be a blast tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern. OceanDemoDay.com is where you'll go and you'll register for that. That's all I got.